So with the recent Stalker 2 delay announcement, I made a reaction video, and the comments that followed were verbose to say the least. This made me really start to question why people were so invested in Stalker. Why did I even spend my time making the video in the first place? What has drew all of us to this one thing that we all have so much passion and care for? How has Stalker kept us invested through the 17 years since it's initially launched? Well, grab your bolts and some vodka and let's find out. What makes Stalker so interesting? Harrowing, horrifying, human. These are the first three words I think of whenever Stalker is mentioned. In the zone, nothing is given to you. Nothing is clear. Physics, morals, ethics, they're all out of the window. The odds are never in your favor. And behind every door is a glimpse of callous death. But in the distance, there's a fire, and the soft twang of a guitar can be heard as you approach a town. That is the journey in Stalker. That is the day-to-day, the gameplay loop that you really feel. Of course, there is an overarching plot, but as a Stalker, you have to be so focused on the mission at hand and where your feet are. Worrying too much about the who and the why can and probably will get you killed. There are factions all vying for territorial control, roaming mutants, endless paranormal anomalies. Then there is the comfort when you see some loners next to a fire by a bus stop. That is the loop that made me start to really enjoy Stalker, and it's probably the reason a lot of people enjoy it. As games like Escape from Tarkov and DayZ take major influences from the Stalker franchise. The more you play, the more you dive deeper into the lore and find out that while Chernobyl and its surrounding locations are very real places, the game itself is grounded in cosmic horror from being inspired by the novel Roadside Picnic. In Roadside Picnic, stalkers traverse a zone to find rare and collectible artifacts, which they will turn and try to sell them on the black market. And at the center of this zone lies the Wish Granter, which lures everyone to seek it out to fulfill their own desire, only for it to end up being too ironic, like being turned into metal for asking to be immortal, or going blind for asking the zone to disappear. This, of course, was all propaganda spread by a group of ex-Soviet scientists who are neurally linked together and sitting in Bacta tanks. These weirdos are trying to harness the power of the zone to influence the human psyche on a global level to rid negative factors like cruelty, I guess, and global suffering. This to me sounds an awful lot like communism, but that honestly could just be the current geopolitical landscape playing into my opinion. I know, and I'm not trying to preach anything. War is bad, and it is so awesome that GSC are pushing through a war to make their passion project. Though the delays do make me sad. Seeing all this made me take a step back and realize the zone and the game itself reflects our modern day world so much more. So many of us are grouped by our beliefs, isolated by the journey of life, and so much of our life can be determined by luck. Stalker really is a piece of art that in a way reflects so much of our world in it. I think that is why me and many others really can find ourselves so immersed in the world of Stalker and the zone itself. In a way, the entire zone kind of feels like a giant stage and you're doing improv with 100 other random people. Except you're no different than them at all. You're all the same. You're all stalkers. You're all fragile and vulnerable. You could all die in a minute. You could all turn your guns and shoot at each other at any moment. This creates this tension that you never quite know what is going to happen next. That is what good survival games should make you feel like. You get moments of fear, anxiety, anger, even anguish in some situations. But you almost always find your way back to a location where others are existing and just trying to get by. This almost gives me a feeling of relief somehow. The cold, cosmic, unrelenting zone causes so much animosity that even just the subtle moments of peace where I feel like I'm being welcomed home after a traumatic war. And that is a breath of fresh air after running away from whatever evil force the zone has forsaken me with. Getting back to a neutral base, being able to offload junk and buy supplies for the road, and then sit down and have a swig of vodka with some fellow stalkers by a campfire while they tell stories that I really can't understand or play guitar. It makes it feel so welcoming. The zone has so much going on that you are not a part of. It feels like it's ever changing. Nearly entire towns of people can get eaten alive while you're out doing a mission. Or alternatively, you can join some of the more determined factions in the zone and have your own Anakin Skywalker.
I killed them. I killed them all.
But this means maybe next time you should side with duty or freedom and then go on a little bit more of an honorable path. Or not. If you want to kill anything and everything that you see, be my guest. But just grab some smokes to deal with all that anxiety later down the road. Playing through the Stalker games provides so much diversity in every single playthrough. You can go at a scenario so many different ways and have so many varying levels of failure and successes each way every single time you play. You can join different factions, which vastly change the political landscape of the zone and who will shoot you on sight and who have, game-changing consequences for you as you travel. And this is amplified in the mods and game packs. There's mods for everything. If you want to be absolutely miserable for your entire time playing the game, please install the misery mod because it will haunt you. But the modding community itself is absolutely insane and a huge reason why the game lives on and has the reputation it does today. Anomaly and so many mod packs, mainly Gamma, have so much to them to offer people, and all for free. It's crazy. I mean, last year the Gamma mod was being played more than probably every other game. It was such a big boom. In a prior video, I talk about Stalker, Shadow of Chernobyl, being a reverse power fantasy as an interesting positive or a perk of the game. Instead of you being a superhuman, you are essentially powerless. While I still feel like that is true, after playing the trilogy and moving on to Anomaly and these other mods, and furthering my Stalker brain, I realized Stalker doesn't just suck the power out of you for fun. It uses that power to fuel the cosmic horror in the world around you. That is what makes the zone so freaking terrifying. That is what makes those moments of listening to a guitar around the campfire so personable and gives him such a feeling of safety, because the rest of the time you're in the zone is the opposite. It is ghastly with existential dread around every corner. This kind of horror FPS world building is so unique in modern gaming, where it feels like most of the AAA releases are nowhere near it. This and Metro and Fear, there's a couple other games that kind of fall in this category where they're just so different. And I think Stalker does that really well. And I think that's why it's holding up in a time where most AAA releases feel like they're all following similar templates to make the most money for as cheap as possible. I heard someone assimilate modern day gaming to junk food, and it's actually, I really agree with it. Because sure, I like to eat junk food and even enjoy it for a little while, but very rarely does it ever give you a sensation of being full or even satiated. I guess this kind of leads me to, video games themselves are just such a unique form of art. Rather than showing you something visual like a movie or telling you something descriptive like music, good video games make you feel the art, the difficulty, the immersion, the AI, storytelling, the world building. All of these elements play into this. And I feel like a lot of modern day games tell you how brutal the world is. They'll tell you all this, or they'll show you how horrific the conditions are. But Stalker is one of those games that make you feel how brutal the world is. You live through the horrific conditions. You come out with such memories that you don't get from other games because of how much this game has made you feel. Throughout this video, I've said the word feel an absolute ton. I should have had a counter. And I think that is what makes Stalker so interesting to me, is the feel. And the best way I can describe that feeling is like jumping into freezing cold water. The shock, the struggle, the relief after you get that first gasp of air again. It feels so unique in gaming. It is why I made this channel, to talk about games that I enjoy, or games that make me really feel something. It's also why I'm so passionate to see Stalker 2. I truly do hope that they can stay true to the foundations of what makes Stalker so unique and so interesting. Catering to modern gaming trends could potentially ruin what makes Stalker so damn interesting to me. I hope that when Stalker 2 does finally come out, it isn't some soulless junk food like so much of the rest of gaming is today. I hope anyone who plays it, myself included, gets the same feeling of jumping into freezing cold water for the first time. Towards the beginning of this video, I said 3 words that describe Stalker. I think now I'm going to change that, and now I'm going to simply say immersion. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. The free Stalkers welcome you to join the Loner faction at any time. This has been Loner JB. Good night.